Hello and welcome, everybody. This is going to be a bit of an extension and a side bar to today's Daily Dharma. I had a few preceding messages. We got almost all the way to the main cards over here from the Mixed Kali Kuan Yin deck, which I really wanted to get to, but it was kind of already discussed in the main crux of the message. So we're going to take this and make this the Daily Dharma number 2, a little bit of an extended message for that. And instead of repeating those messages, I'll just kind of reference the runes and the I Ching that came up for the reason. But it's all about getting square with ourselves and recognizing that we're being invited and called to lead a more purpose-driven life. And there's some type of message or common goal that is bringing us together with other individuals, whether it's one other or multiple other individuals or situations that are inviting us to utilize our choice and our voice and whatever skills and resources that we have to leverage towards what we choose to support with our heart-based love energy. And so it's a return to unity consciousness. And so we'll all be invited to join the movement and the momentum, but not all of us will really be able to commit fully, wholeheartedly. And so there's no end to the opportunities for individuals to make it through the portal. But this secondary reading is going to be for those individuals that are watching, that feel that this is either something that you're just on the brink of, in the midst of, or have just passed this portal. So we had that portal representing some type of passionate reinstigation, whether that's through triggering anger, resentments, fears, whatever, or through a positive trigger, an enlightening of, oh, well, look at my personal power and how I can affect this, and look at my worth and my value. And now that I know this, I can advocate for something else that I hold to be of value and worth for the collective. And so we're talking about how we plug into that. And these cards go from that place of, how we've come into this world and how we choose for our experiences, and how each thing leads to something else, to something else. There's no necessarily wrong turns. There are detours, there are spirals, there are roundabouts that we might go around a few extra too many times trying to figure out which exit to go. And so anyways, these cards here are talking a bit about this thing, this essence or urge or common goal that is bubbling up for us, and the individuals that cross our path in specific times or in synchronistic ways, or that represent some type of inner feeling or knowingness about our connectivity, the way that they hit us and the way that they feel inside of us. Do they bring us to um, more fear, anxiety, and frustration, and lying around feeling lost? Or do they make us feel centered, collected, driven, and uh, deeply connected to what brings us here, aligned with our passion and purpose? And so this is also then, so let me just show you the cards. We have the Dance Unveiling that comes out first. Again, one of my very favorite cards. It's been showing its face a few times recently after being gone for a while. It's talking about the great mystery and how it reveals itself one hint at a time, one little breadcrumb at a time. And all we can do in every moment is choose for the resonance and alignment of what we need in the moment. And so if what we needed in the moment was an unloving comment to help us to question what comes next for us, there's this urge to witness what preceded and what comes next. It's like that's the portal. Every time that we face a trigger or an enlightenment or an invitation, that's for us to integrate, to choose what's right and resonant with our situation and how we wish to experience the next leg of the journey, and how we wish to frame our connectivity with the experience itself. It's like that's the choice point, that's the portal through the center of the heart space, the inner temple and sanctuary of inner alignment. And so next, this brings up sound the fierce flute. That is all about the rising vibrational resonance of the message that's coming from the center, the sacred soul center. And then next we have this Kundalini Shakti. That name in itself is incredible if you know the meaning of those things. I apologize if you hear the chair creaking and making noise. We'll have to take care of that for next reading. So Kundalini Shakti is very sensual. It's very on the internal level. It's where we can both be and allow and surrender to what is, and we can also take action. And so the one is the way that we reflect and to witness and observe ourselves, observing the observation, and then the subsequent decision making. And so it's like very quantum in this way, where once we can contemplate the center of ourself and actually move through, which actually I did peek under here, the veil of shadows is right below this card. And so this is talking about the inner alchemy between witness and will, between feminine, masculine, inner, outer, and so therefore also between ourselves and the partnerships that we choose and resonate with. Are they ridden with conflict or with opportunities for us to continue to fight for our value and our sense of self-respect? Or are they completely saturated with affirmations, love, and bonding, and trust, and support? You know, wouldn't that be so amazing? And so we talk about here, once we've contemplated the center, then being super, super centered on what is true, right, and deserved and allowed to take up residence, whether it's our own inner value and sense of self-worth or another's projection thereof. We then, from that empowered center or compromised center, we attract the love that we, apologies for the direct word, that we deserve in the moment. And you deserve sometimes something that will show you what unlove looks like, so that you know very clearly in the next phase what how to truncate that loss of energy and energy drain before it continues to develop and take up more of our time, energy, attention, and perhaps move into our homes as like a bad ideology. You know, you don't want to go out and have just everybody that you engage with complaining, and then come home and then you're going to be complaining, right? Complaining about the complainers, perhaps. So this is about the partnership that we deserve. And now that and I will say, before I move on, everybody deserves love, but sometimes the most efficient way to return us to the heart space of love is to show us what is not love, so that we can compare, so that we can understand when we have two options, which thing is aligned with the true inner and which things are not. And so we can also, in this way, by knowing the self, we can understand how others, when they present themselves, what is true and authentic, what is actually manipulative or deceptive or misrepresenting, and which individuals think that they're one way but are presenting another, or deceiving themselves. We can see through all of these things as we start to build upon the sacred center and grow upwards from there. So we're talking about some types of sacred partnerships coming in, and an upgrade perhaps, because we have, for those that are making their way through this portal, we have this lucky, expansive new opening. And then the next one is partnership contracts, Gabo, marriage, coming together for sacred work. And then the self, mirrored by the self here in this energy of joy representing joy, and how we, if we are actually believers and conduits for love and joy, that is what we ultimately will continue to attract into our lives. And so if we're around some complainers, it's up to us to then alchemize that input, or to limit its access to our sacred center. It's like, when we are solid in our sacred center, sometimes we can listen to one or two arguments or whatever else, or commentaries, negativities, and it's not going to pierce into the center. But when we're saturated by it, that's a different story, because it begins to infiltrate us. And so we need to really uplift and eradicate the false darkness and transmute that into the positive darkness that can be built upon the unlimited yin energy of receptivity. And how do we fill the space between those molecules? So under here we have the Tao, talking about the ebb and flow and how we master the moment, not just, taking control over the moment and saying, oh, well, I'll be at my peace when everybody else stops messing with me. The master understands that the only constant is death, taxes, and change. And so it's always up to us to walk on water, to ride the wave. And that's kind of the stepping off point here. We're attracting a different, more powerful, purpose-driven partnership here. And this Bhuvanasvari, I don't know how they intend us to say these if we don't speak the language, but anyways, this, to me, my energy responds to this as looking at perhaps some type of a young empress, or even an accidental child bride, which is not part of the reading perhaps, but it's something about her suffering process, because to me she looks as though she's been crying, like her eyes are red and swollen, like she had to make some type of a sacrifice in this arranged marriage, but now she's this empress that has this gorgeous alchemized enlightened heart space and soul space that's like, if I could be done this way, I had to sacrifice whatever else to get into this place. Now I can also witness that this is uniquely positioning this person here, yourself perhaps, in this position of leadership. Whatever you have sacrificed has uniquely positioned you to sit on top of some type of a throne or a platform here, where your alchemical process is being listened to. The soul song that is emerging from the depths of you has such precise value. You've walked through the valley of the shadow of death, but yet you fear no evil, because you understand that you've looked evil in the eye, and you went through the portal of death into the, quote, afterworld, the afterlife here. It's like a near-death experience. So I keep picking this deck up, but I do want to just quickly read you just a little tidbit. The Kundalini Shakti talks about this rising consciousness evoking instability within, perhaps with this dark night of the soul, or whenever the Kundalini is said to rise, it shakes loose anything that is not congruent with that ascending higher vibrational resonance. And this sound, the fierce flute, is the same type of a way where the frequency rises to such a pitch that certain individuals go their separate ways because of the incongruency, the discord between new notes being sung on the soul level. And so this rising consciousness is piercing through something within you, clearing the inner pathways of your nervous system and the delivery of all of this etheric and otherwise energetic knowledge through your systems, so that higher consciousness and ascension process can manifest. Inner disturbance and instability wrought by the Kundalini Shakti rising is an obscuring grace. Internal disorder is a necessary step towards divine reorganization, because you're purging what doesn't belong to build a more sturdy structure and foundation for your future. Reassure your heart that no matter what may appear to be at a spiritual level, all is indeed well. Outworn energies being processed and broken apart, from the ashes of your inner fire, you shall emerge anew. Let what needs to happen, happen. Like the Shakti rising, the Phoenix rising energy is kind of the same, where we allow what comes before to just be, neutral. It is a part of our becoming story. And so any type of grief or shame or blame or guilt is somewhat perhaps ill placed. Once we can forgive ourselves for whatever, um, or whatever that process is for you of alchemizing those limitations back into love, it clears the pathway. And so the 19 card reads, our cosmic mother is the light bringer, the sun and the moon, the light of the renewal and healing. She's the divine voice, the sound of creation itself. The Om came through the other day because these wisdom goddesses are coming through one by one. We had was it Mahavidya twice in a row, the knowledge and the wisdom itself. And then we had, or no, we had Mahakali first, and then the next card, Mahavidya, the next day. And now we have this one. And let me just keep reading this too. So this divine voice, this sacred breath of the universe intoning into this powerful, purposeful incantation, conjuring the light and the wisdom for the world and for the collective ascension. This sublime note births a golden era. Hers is the capacity to create a clean slate and a fresh start. She is hope and she is arising. She protects and preserves that which is worthy of the heart. She shines in a perpetual state of divine beauty and radiance, reigniting our creative fires and attracting to us the most supportive and honoring circumstances. Her presence signifies utmost grace. And so as we move through this portal, it's like it's how we surrender to our becoming process and all of the messiness that had to be in order for us to become. And so it talks about sustaining nourishment through the experiences, through the preserving of what is of unchanging. So yeah, like you slip down and fall on your face and your integrity in something. You got caught gossiping, let's say, and then you witness the hurtful nature of that, and then the you change your behavior based on the value system is kind of how this is. It's like what perseveres through that. Is it the guilt and the shame that we cling to, or is it I witnessed what that feels like and now I intend and endeavor to be better? And that's what makes a great leader, is the ability to self-correct and to guide with truth, wisdom, and so on. When we have fought hard to accomplish something worthwhile and honoring of the soul, she provides the means to protect it so that it may endure. This may relate to a state of being, a project with heart, a relationship karmically destined to unite and to empower certain souls for the spiritual benefit of the collective. Her presence particularly relates to the divine beautification of the physical world and the bringing of heaven to earth. And her name means the sovereign queen of the world and female ruler. So if there's a situation that has discord at its heart, this signifies that it shall be healed and realigned through her grace. Believe in the possibilities that you have yet to experience and place your faith in what you've experienced so far. This signifies harmony and beauty awakening in your world in a very real and tangible way. As the creatrix of the forms of all the worlds, including the physical level, to bringing healing to our bodies and to the material life circumstances. This is a sign of energy fulfillment, wellness, and vitality. Medicine for those who often bring themselves through to depletion instead of restoration, and self-care. This is recognizing what it means to honor oneself and to understand that because you have such a sacred divine birthright and purpose driven experience to weave into this world, you're also protected, and then therefore you need to take good care of yourself, yeah. Let's get some code cards on this mess here. It is not a mess, but it's a divine, beautiful, chaotic cauldron of creation, right? We first have, I think I saw it, I thought it was delight because I saw the color code on the from the card here, alchemy. We already talked a little about alchemy. It's all in the way that we wear the experience, the way that we integrate the lesson, and then release any type of false narrative surrounding that and embrace the healing beside and within. Okay, so yeah, there's a transition of alchemy, so a shift in even your chemical process. So this may also talk about an indication that you've recognized something that is lower vibrational, and the preference that you have to uplift your vibration and to even self-correct and engage in media that's uplifting and constructive instead of belligerent and blame shifting and so on. Some of those things, and bringing integrity back to a moment, back to a friendship, apologizing for an misunderstanding, so on. So there's a transition of energy and alchemy from lower into higher, preferably. And yes, we already talked about emergence. There's this relationship and opportunities for new relating coming in the new phase. And now we have the understanding card with coherence and prosperity, talking about alignment with our abundance mindset. So I like that. So this alchemical transformation from lower vibration into higher idealistic and being committed to those ideals to create them in real time instead of just talking about them on social media, let's say, emerging with what you can do. And sometimes the best thing is to change all of yourself on the alchemical level. And this looks like that is emerging in tangible form based on law of attraction. So the more that you work on this, the more evidence you're going to get. And sometimes with law of attraction, you'll see that it's not only that seeing is believing, saying, well, when I manifest that new car, I'll believe in law of attraction. It's like sometimes believing is seeing. Like when we talk to our children and we shame them and say, what you did is terrible, you're never there, you never take anything seriously, you're always lazy, then that's their projection in their I am statement on their vulnerable personality. We are tarring and feathering them with our perspectives, opinions, and our belligerence and our ugliness in that way as well. And then in contra opinion, or a contra move, we could also instead say, I see that you're lying around and doing a lot of things. I understand as a teenager, that's kind of par for the course. But what we're going to do is learn the lesson that if you lie around all day, you're going to feel like garbage. But if you get up and do a few things, then you start feeling a little bit better. Your body moving makes you feel better. Feeling in your inside in the subconscious realms, doing the dishes or something, having a clean environment to sit and be comfortable in feels good. It restores the spirit. It organizes our worrisome, scattered monkey brain, and it makes us feel good about ourselves. And so when we speak over another individual, our child, our parent, or ourselves, it's very important to understand the power and the capacity of the will and how we choose to use it and engage it. Is it destructive? Is it non-constructive? Is it only a critique? Like, a critical mind is a beautiful thing, but a critic is definitely something that can cut deep. And so we're understanding how the will can be used in a different way, and how that space between partners or collaborators or intimate romantic partners, and even to the point of marriage, it's like understanding how we could build together, and how the nature of the space between us, we can expect to understand how the energy will work by witnessing how they are, how we are, and then in proximity to each other, what is the developing story? What is the feeling that we get when we engage with their energy? And what is the feeling that they give when they mirror that back to us? Because there's with this transition and emergence, I feel like there's a transition of relationship status as well for many of you. So whether you're going from hermit to socialite, or gaining in some type of popularity or stature, getting a promotion, or getting a new relationship, or moving in terms of commitment within a partnership, might be changing the way that that looks, feels, and operates. Next, we have conception. For some of you, you may be looking to birth a new plan, ideology, or a group objective, and some others may still be looking to even procreate and have a child. But conception is like the will of the third energy created between two sovereigns. The third thing is the energy created from the union and the partnership. Okay. So we have divine feminine with cosmic flower coming out, the way that we nurture other people's evolution, and the way that we flow with the experiences and gain what we can to fertilize and nurture the process. That's the idea of releasing what doesn't come through the portal with us. It's like perhaps some chapters are only a chapter in a book that we may only read once. Maybe we'll return to that chapter and enjoy it. Maybe it's a saga where that individual or scenario comes back into subsequent later chapters and has another role to play. These are ways that we can flow with what is, and not force outcomes, and not become controlling or discouraged or expectant about an outcome and demanding in that way, or resisting the flow of the law of attraction. We don't need to control, demand, or influence or manipulate so much as to align within with what we want. And then if it chooses to align back to us, the mirror will present itself, and the space, the gap between will close, and the molecules will be properly attracted to each other by the gravity of their mutual synergy and their mutual objectives. The work that has to be done is the magnetism that draws them together. And when that work is completed, then the next chapter evolves from there. So the next three, we have empowerment, perspective, miracle, and integration. Absolutely. We're integrating and alchemizing the way that every bit of information comes through, how we choose to perceive that as the miracle of the becoming process, and an invitation for us to be challenged and creatively inspired to co-create with the factors that are as they are, and how this empowers our ability to perceive reality, and also to perceive how powerful we are at creating our own destinies and outcomes and our own divine partnerships. Synergy, no surprise on the bottom of the deck. So let's see if we can get anything else. Since this seems to be a partnership reading, let's go ahead and get some of these DIY cards and peek at the time here. So it could be any type of partnership for some of you, but I think that the messages are easy enough to kind of figure out how they pertain to your situation. Let's see, all these face down. We have material concerns. Somebody may be concerned about having enough money or something paying off. But remember, we talked earlier, we had the coherence card, was it, with the prosperity? I'd have to back up, but the material concerns is like, if we have anxiety and if we operate and make moves based on fear, we're not going to take the right types of risks. But we also don't want to be naive at the same time. So our concerns about materialism and the way that things appear on the surface can be blocking us by believing that only things that are real are what we see. Again, right? With the seeing is believing. But if you believe and have faith that good things are actually always developing below the surface, then even the false evidence appearing as real will not sway you from the stance in your center that says, even if it's not true right now, I will do my best to work towards the highest and the best. And if I hold space for that, so shall it be. And so we're moving beyond that. Ooh, trauma bonding. I think that we've found ourselves being attached to things that don't serve, and that's the portal that we're moving through, is how we can accidentally move in ways that represent what we're afraid of or what we're resentful of, instead of what inspires us and where our actual integrity lies. And how that happens in relationships as well, like whether we date down, so to speak, and date people that don't represent a threat or that are never going to leave us, or that represent some type of superficial attainment, or like the arm candy that says, hey, look at me, I got this beautiful partner and I got the cool car, and look at this designer whatever that I might have on. It's kind of like the trauma bond can take multiple masks can be evidence of the trauma bond, but mostly about what we do and don't allow in our partnerships and how we move within them. And like, do we have the self-sovereignty and the trust and faith in what's true and right for us to choose the right person in the beginning, and then to trust that person to be trustworthy when we're not looking, to do the right thing when we're not looking. And this can be in personal relationships, like when we feel insecure or jealous or controlling. In those situations, it shows that there's possibly a limited amount of faith, or a crisis of faith, or a fear that's operating there that needs to be moved and released so that we can unburden the soul to move forward. Here we have Scorpio. We're still in Scorpio season at the time of this broadcast. We're going to be in the next few days moving into, oh shoot, suddenly I can't remember what comes after Scorpio. The 9th house is Sagittarius. So then we have Neptune as well. So with Scorpio and Neptune, Scorpio is very deep, transformative. It is the Phoenix rising as well. One of the archetypal energies. It's like the Scorpio is the retaliation, bitterness, and resentment, and jealousy, control. And then we move